Hey folks, and welcome to week number 4. So as you guys know, obviously Essay 1 was due at the beginning of this week, so we're moving on to unit number 2. And so that's what we want to start with today. So first and foremost, watch that week number 4 video, of course. Complete your Essay 1 reflection. I want you to read the Essay 2 assignment. Read those studies showing, I'll show you this in just a second. Watch Looking for Scholarly Articles, which is a video. Find 2 scholarly articles for your Essay 2, and then write and submit annotations to those 2 scholarly articles. Now, all of that's actually due by Monday. That's an earlier turn in than normal. Why? Well, my experience, some folks need to kind of redo their scholarly articles. Okay, so I'll explain this in just a second, but there's a little bit of at one of the things at play here is sort of like I want to make sure that you're on the right track. So Monday gives us an opportunity. I can make sure we're on the right track, and if not, I can get you back on the right track without us sort of being held back. And then I want you to begin the research discussion. This is one of 3 research discussions we'll have over the course of the semester. This is going to be the first one. All right, let's go ahead and go down, and I'll take a look at everything that we've got scheduled here. All right, first and foremost, let's talk about the Essay 1 reflection. If you click that link, it's going to say, would you like to make a copy of the 102 game plan document? What this is actually going to do is going to take this document that I want you to work with for the Essay 1 reflection, and it'll make a copy of it and save it in your Google Drive. If you go ahead and hit make a copy, it will create a copy and then open it up. Okay, now, this document's got some different pieces to it. What I actually want you to do for this week, and the only thing I need you to do this week, is identify what your strengths and weaknesses were in your essay from your point of view. You guys just turned Essay 1 in. What were your strengths and weaknesses? What do you think you did particularly well on? What do you think you might have struggled with a little bit more? Okay? That is the only part I need you to do. We're going to use some of the rest of this template later in the semester, so we'll come back and do this, including the Essay 1 reflection piece here. But for right now, the only thing I need you to do this week, identify the strengths and weaknesses that you had in your first essay. Okay? Okay, so first and foremost, obviously, click that link, make your copy, go ahead and do that. And again, just those first 2 sections. Now, we're at that point going to get into essay number 2. So there are a few different pieces here. There is an article here that I would like you to take a look at called Those Studies Showing That Drinking is Good for You Were Funded by Big Alcohol. I want you to take a look at that, read that article, because it plays into the Essay 2 assignment. Let's go ahead and take a look at that essay assignment real quick here. And we'll come back and look at the other 2 pieces. Okay, so as I did with our last essay assignment, there's a little bit of background here. Essay 1, of course, focused on this idea that popular sources have some inherent weaknesses to them, okay? That doesn't mean they're bad. There are certainly situations where a popular source is what I might say is good enough. Situations where the question I'm asking and the repercussions of the question I'm asking aren't so serious that if I get it wrong, it's hugely problematic, okay? Now, typically, then what happens is students will just go and click the scholarly source button in Prairie State's library database. Presume any information they get at that point is fine. But often it's not, and that's what that article talks about. The funding mechanism is one piece of the things we need to consider when we are taking a look at the accuracy of scholarly studies. Scholarly studies are only as good as the work that goes into them. And often different studies on the same subject end up coming to different conclusions. That's one of the reasons we get articles each week that contradict each other, right? So for Essay 2, I want you to find 2 scholarly studies that look at the same thing, okay? If you want to use your scholarly study from Essay 1, that's perfectly fine. However, same thing really means just that. They need to look at the same aspect of a topic. In theory, they need to try to answer the same question, okay? Every scholarly study is trying to answer a question, okay? What's the impact? How much homework do kids get, and what's the impact of that homework on their academic well-being? Okay, that's a research question. You know, is your taste preference linked to your antisocial behaviors? So there's a correlation between this. Those are research questions. So what we would really want is to try to find two scholarly articles that answer the same question. And we get this all the time, okay? There's, one of our pieces for this week, past week, for essay one was on music education and talked about music education and its impact on kids' overall academic achievements. There have been hundreds of studies on music education and its impact there. Okay, so we could try to find two articles on music education and kids' performance in general academic classes, for example. Okay, so this week, as well, you guys, leading up to this week, you read two articles on diet soda, and whether that aids or harms one's desire to lose weight, be healthy. Okay, both those try to answer the same question, at least pretty closely. Okay, it's a good example of a pair of articles that's on the same topic, though. Once you've got two articles, your goal is to figure out, well, maybe which one is stronger, how they differ, but most importantly, what we as the general public could take away from this. If I've got these two articles on diet soda that seem to contradict each other, which one should I pay attention to and why? Right? Even if your two scholarly studies come to substantially the same conclusion, they're going to have some differences in the results, right? One's going to show a stronger correlation, the other one will show a weaker one. One may show an impact that lasts a certain period of time. The other one's going to show an impact that lasts longer or shorter. What we really want to dig into here is to understand how they got the results they got and what that tells us as a reader, what that tells us as the general public who's trying to get information. So, in order to do this, I want you to consider the author's background, the journal in which it was published, statements, possible conflicts of interest, the study design. A lot of these details are going to be coming up in the next week's work, okay? So don't worry about the bits and pieces of how we're going to go about doing this, but I want you to start this week by finding those two articles that really try to answer the same question and which you'll use for essay 2, okay? All right. Okay, so that's essay 2 assignment. So this article here is one way to start thinking about how scholarly studies might be better or worse. What's the funding mechanism behind them? Okay, this video here will give you some guidance as to how to find scholarly articles, okay, where to go, how to use the Prairie State databases, what sort of search terms you're going to want to use. So that's right there. Then, of course, there's just a spot to turn in your annotations. So this will be an opportunity for me immediately to say, yeah, you're on the right track. These two are going to work, or no, I don't think this is going to work. All right. And then finally, your research discussion. So your research discussion, we're going to take this over a couple weeks here. I've got you guys into a group, and you will be getting a Google document for your group that's shared amongst your group to start doing work with. So I actually don't need you to use the discussion board this week. I want you to start working in that Google Doc. Your goal as a group is to answer the question, why do Fowler's and Peters reach different conclusions? These are the two articles on diet soda that we read for last week. Okay. Why does the research that Fowler conducts disagree with the results of Peters' study really clearly? We have two diet soda articles. They're both about diet soda and weight loss, but they seem to disagree with each other. So what I want you to do first this week, so head to your group's Google Doc. Again, that's going to come in your email. Start by filling in that document as a group. Okay. So you guys could just come up with all the different reasons that differences between the two studies that might help explain the reason they came to different conclusions. Starting next week, we're going to start working about how the impacts of those. Okay, so I'll give you some more detail on this next week. For this week, all I need you to do, come up with all the possible lists of all the possible explanations you can about why they might have come to the conclusions they came to. Excuse me. And again, everything's due by Monday except the research discussion, which we can start after that. Okay? If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know.